Berenike was a port, but that is not the most important thing about it. The most important thing is where it was. A settlement on Egypt's Red Sea coast could connect the Mediterranean world to Arabia, Africa, and the Indian Ocean. But it also sat in a harsh desert setting where food, water, animals, tools, and people had to move through long routes before the port could function at all. So this episode is not about a treasure port filled with exotic goods. It is about the ordinary system that made the port possible.
This is a reconstruction, not actual footage. The evidence comes from archaeology, Archaeobotany, field reports, and summaries of the Berenike excavations. The sources give us strong anchors: the port's foundation under Ptolemy II, its role in Red Sea and Indian Ocean trade, the need to haul supplies, imported food remains, ceramics, and black pepper. They do not give us one filmed day. The scenes are visual explanations of the evidence.
Start with the map. Berenike was founded in the 3rd century BCE, traditionally under Ptolemy II. From the Mediterranean side, goods and people could move through Egypt. From the Red Sea side, ships could connect to Arabia, the African coast, and the wider Indian Ocean. That position made the port valuable.
But the same map also shows the problem. Berenike was not sitting inside a lush agricultural zone. It was not a Nile market town with fields nearby. The port needed outside supply. A ship could bring goods across water, but people still needed drinkable water, food, firewood, animals, containers, storage, repair, and shelter. The first daily reality is not a wealthy merchant counting treasure. It is water. Water jars, animal tracks, people moving slowly under shade, dry ground, rope, cloth, empty spaces. A port that depended on hauling was not endlessly abundant. It was useful, exposed, and fragile. That is what makes Berenike so interesting. Long-distance trade is usually shown as a line on a map. Here, the line needed ordinary bodies and ordinary containers. Someone had to carry, someone had to guard, someone had to record, someone had to repair a rope, stack a jar, shade a work area, and decide what could wait.
If this kind of ordinary infrastructure is the history you want more of, subscribe here. The channel is about the systems behind famous worlds.
Now move into storage. Archaeobotanical research at Berenike identified many cultivated plant species, and the sources indicate that much of the food consumed there was imported from the Nile Valley and the Mediterranean. That is a powerful detail because it changes how we imagine a port. A port is not only where luxury goods arrive, it is also where survival arrives.
Food remains are not glamorous evidence. They are seeds, fragments, residues, jars, sacks, and storage spaces. But those quiet traces answer a basic question: how did people keep living here?
Picture a warehouse that is not a palace. Low walls, rough plaster, imported amphorae, dry light, a worker in shade, a sparse corner with fewer goods, a richer pile of ceramics nearby. The contrast matters. Trade can be impressive without making daily life comfortable for everyone.
Then there is pepper. Black pepper at Berenike is one of those objects that lets the viewer feel distance. Pepper does not grow in the Egyptian desert. It points beyond the Red Sea, beyond Egypt, toward Indian Ocean trade. A storage vessel associated with a large quantity of pepper is not just an object. It is a route made visible.
But the claim has to stay narrow. The pepper jar does not prove that everyone ate luxury spices every day. It shows Berenike's connection to long-distance trade, and it gives us one concrete object that makes that distance visible.
The object is small and physical. A storage jar, dark pepper grains, coarse pottery, rope, a shaded warehouse edge, no glowing treasure, no golden plates, no modern labels. The point is not wealth for its own sake. The point is connectivity.
Now widen the question again. At Berenike, objects came from different worlds, but they all had to pass through the same physical settlement. Ceramics from different regions, food from the Nile, goods from ships, water from roots, and labor from people who lived with heat, distance, scarcity, and risk. That is why the daily life of the port includes silence as well as motion. There are sparse streets and storage yards. There are worn corners, damaged walls, patched shade cloth, and empty containers. A port connected to India did not automatically become a comfortable city. Heat changes movement. Porters under a desert sun do not sprint. Work happens in short lifts, pauses, turns, and careful steps. Fabric shifts in the wind. Dust crosses sunlight. Water ripples at the harbor edge. Small motion fits this world better than dramatic action because the labor itself was slow, repetitive, and physical.
The network itself is the next character.
A map can show Berenike as a hinge. Mediterranean Egypt on one side, Red Sea routes on another, Arabia and Africa across the water, and Indian Ocean exchange farther east. A useful map does not pretend that every route was constant or simple. It shows connection, not certainty. Trade routes were seasonal, political, risky, and dependent on ships, winds, ports, and people. This is where the episode has to avoid the easy word globalization. It is tempting because Berenike connected distant places, but the ancient world was not the modern world with older clothes. Better language is long-distance connectivity. Goods could travel far. So could habits, tastes, containers, coins, names, and expectations. But travel was slower, riskier, and more dependent on fragile routes.
There is also a source limitation. Only part of the site has been excavated. The evidence is rich but incomplete. We can identify major patterns, objects, and networks, but we cannot reconstruct every street, every person, or every hour. That uncertainty needs to stay visible.
So return to the first image, a dry Red Sea port at the edge of a long network. The ship is important, the pepper is evidence. The imported ceramics widen the map, but the ordinary system matters just as much. Water, food, storage, labor, shade, rope, animals, road, harbor, record, repair. Berenike worked because distance was turned into routine. In the next episode, the story moves north to Hedeby, a Viking trading town where geography, craft, harbor, and defensive earthworks made a borderland into a marketplace.
If you want more reconstructions of ordinary worlds, subscribe, like the video, and watch the next episode.